police department and police enforcement. We all agree we like that, but again, that's $250,000 of budget, but we're locked into that. We're locked into that for 3 years, and so if we opt out of that, I think we take a hit.
Yeah, and we did do the micromanage as best we could with the 2012 budget, okay, and we're working over the 2012 budget again. As far as, anyway, but that's about it, so there's no.
I was just asking for the saving, I wanna hear, is it Mr. Wright?
Yeah.
I like hearing the saving, but I know that's a different topic that's coming up next.
Okay, let's go ahead and kill this one. Let's go ahead and stop this conversation because we're actually talking about it. Okay, and go to the next one, which is, well, we had citizen, all right, any more citizen comments? Yes, sir, Leon?
Yeah, there's one question wanted to ask is, over the period of years, like you said, some of these water mains is over 40 years old. Some of them's HC. I don't know if there's any wood in the ground yet. But them water lines should have been replaced little by little over them periods of years.
Okay.
It's basic, it's catching up with this, and we're gonna have to dump a lot of money into it. And I don't think PUD would do it, take the water district over without jacking the price sky high, put new pipes in the ground. Because you guys get a lot of broken mains through the city itself. But basically what I'm saying, a lot of this water main should have been replaced over the years, rather than sections at a time instead of letting old pipe go.
You are correct. Okay, let's move on now. Any more council comments or anything?
Well, I just had one comment that I wrote down at the beginning of the meeting, but our water bill is actually a pretty low water bill. If you were to live in a number of other cities, I moved from a city where the water bill was 10 times what I pay here. It's unbelievably high. But, you know, and I understand that when you're used to paying, you know, $46 a month and it bumps up to, you know, $47 a month, you get upset about that, but it's actually a pretty low water bill. It's not as high as some people may think it is if you looked around.
Laura wants to let everybody know it's called a utility bill, not a water bill.
Utility bill.
Okay.
I would like to make one other comment, I guess, because there are, I think, to address your question, there probably are other ways we can make cuts of expenditures, but that would be a reduction of services. It would be, there would be people in the office here that would probably not be here anymore, and that would put additional burdens on those that remain, and I'm not sure they would be happy, and they may not stay if they're unhappy, and you may not be happy if you don't get the service you want. Not that you're getting great service to begin with, but and that's one of the complaints I hear is that the city doesn't provide the services that they expect. And but then again, we're on a limited budget, and so there are other things we can look at, but I'm not sure they're really viable solutions for a long term.
Well, you know, I wouldn't mind paying $10 a month more for a water bill if that money went direct to replace the water lines instead of diverting the money off to another project somewhere else. I don't mind it. When I left Boswell, I was paying $110 a month for sewer and water.
We're circling the same thing. We've said that we're doing the water comp plan. You will be paying more money per month for the water improvements. It hasn't been implemented yet because we don't have the exact numbers, but there's something like $5 million in infrastructure work that needs to be done. It's going to take place over 10 years. That's the general plan so far. So let's go into the next one. I don't have any reports. Staff, you got any reports?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
I published mine out there. So.
Okay. You got the report. A few crimes, they get solved quickly. Okay. All right, let's go into, because it's already after 8 o'clock, so let's go into the clarification. This is the one we did last time, and there was some questions about it, so I rewrote it based on the questions that were brought up at the last meeting. 425. Okay, there were questions raised on a couple of things, and the preamble is the same. I'll go ahead and read it, and then we can have a discussion. This is resolution number 12-06, a resolution for clarification of Gold Bar Municipal Code, Chapter 2.16. And we'll scroll on down, and well, I changed it to any person or persons, and then step 1 is before, the same it is, and then I added 2 based on Ken's comment, and added 3 that this is just, we'll have to amend the section to include some clarification as far as ordinance update. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution, and second, and we can start discussion.
I'll make a motion that we approve draft 0501-12, that is May 1st, 2012, resolution number 1206.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now the discussion on it. No discussion? Chris, do you have any discussion on the resolution?
No, I'm just
Okay.
finishing up the last
Good.
paragraph.
Okay, if there is no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay. Go on to the next one, which is the legal defense motion. This is something that showed up last night late, so it didn't make it on the original stuff. And this is similar to what we've done before. It's the motion that covers all the combinations that we, for the petition and for any appeal by the petitioners, and we added and to recover any costs associated with such representation should the city prevail. So that's, otherwise it's the same thing we did for the previous recall. And the information is there in front of you. I'll let you look at it first.
So a new recall petition's been filed.
A new recall petition has been filed. The details are in the second page.
And this is just you this time?
Just me this time. I understand at the last recall meeting, at the last recall hearing, everything was denied on factual and legal grounds. And then I've been told that there is an appeal on Chris's, on the denial of Chris's recall. And then this one was new file.
Is there an appeal on yours as well?
No, not on mine, nor on David's.
So you're looking for a motion?
Yeah, someone to read the motion word for word?
Well, I'd like to be consistent here.
Okay.
I move to authorize the payment pursuant to RCW 4.96.041, paragraph 3, and GVMC 2.16.020 of all necessary and related expenses of defending the mayor Joe Beavers in a judicial hearing to determine the sufficiency of recall charges required by RCW 29.56.140, including, if necessary, the costs associated with an appeal by the petitioners of the decision made by the Superior Court. To waive any conflicts or potential conflicts of interest that may be related to such representation and to recover any costs associated with such representation should the city prevail.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
So first off, you have the option, as I understood last time, you can request.
Yes, in fact, I am requesting, it's not an option, I am requesting that the city provide this.
Okay. And so my discussion around this issue isn't pointed at you, nor is it pointed at anything else. But when we weigh this out, I don't know, when they do a recall petition, they still require signatures, and I don't know what level those signatures are, but when we defend these, it costs us at least $10,000 to defend, and you're saying that the recall election would cost us $3,000, and so when we get down to it, if I was in your shoes, I might want the same privilege, but when we look at it financially, I have to question, if the citizens really don't want to recall you, I don't see why we're defending it.
This one should not cost nearly that much. It's a one charge.
The other expenses are for a lot more than one person, right?
Yeah.
They're for 3 people,
Yeah.
not one. But I was surprised at how much money it costs, you know, to defend on these. I mean, not that you guys aren't worth it, don't get me wrong. But it costs money.
Doesn't this also have to go before the judge to rule on sufficiency?
Yes, it's the same thing, just exactly what happened before.
I think we need to remember that we already have an ordinance in place that
Mhm.
says that the city will
Yeah, I agree with that.
provide those defense.
I'm not arguing that, it was never pointed in that direction. But, yeah, and, what was it you just said? I was going to talk.
Sufficiency.
Right, so I agree that, part of the thing is, the reason we challenge these is because we want to weigh sufficiency, rather by some reasonable account, rather than just by public opinion, because, certainly, the news media shows that they can sway opinion if you put enough, media coverage out there. So, I agree that we do want to weigh sufficiency, but I still think that we ought to think about, as individuals, not necessarily, I'm not talking again, like I said, Mayor Beavers, but as individuals, what our responsibility is to the citizens when we ask for these defenses. If we don't think that, if we don't think there's sufficiency for a recall, and I'm sure the public wouldn't, if they're, even if it came to getting enough signatures, when the election comes, they would never, ever vote them out of office. So it's a matter of lesser of evils.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, when we went to court a few weeks ago, I guess the old saying is, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, but only a dummy would represent himself, you know, in a court of law, and that's a judge that said that, it's quoted somewhere. I would just, why not nip it in the bud? I know it's gonna, you know, I know it costs money, it's gonna cost money. This is the type of stuff that we can't stop, are these type of actions, you know, and, you know, when does it end?
But this is the micromanagement too that he's talking about. Where do we micromanage our budget if we don't micromanage it here?
I'd like to put another point on this one. I understand where you're coming from, I saw the numbers floating here too. If you take the 25K that we spent, divided by 3, you still got 6K. But that's not the point. That's not the point. Actually, to me, it's not even, the money's not even the point. The point is that an accusation is being made. And it's a serious accusation. And then it needs to have its proper time in court for this accusation to be either yay or nay. I just wish that the court's decision would be passed and accepted. You know, in one case, Davey, it was. In others, who knows what's going on. The other side of the thing is that, you know, I'm really, to me, it's an integrity piece, quite frankly. It's not about money. I serve with you all, and we're here because we want to be, certainly not for the pay. And the point is that we're trying to do it for service. And I support you all, and I'm willing to do that. And you know, if I hear our community, at least most of the people that show up in this room are for us, or support us, I should say, not necessarily for or again, but support the actions we're taking. And if this action, you know, if our integrity requires us to disincorporate as a city, then I say so be it. I don't like it, I don't want it, I didn't come on this council to say, let's quit.
I agree with
I've
that.
not been a quitter ever in my life, and sometimes I should have. But to me, it's an integrity issue, and you know, it outweighs so many other things. So I'm sorry, I'm preaching.
And I agree with Bob, I think the integrity issue is fighting for what's right. You know, if you have things that keep being brought up that are just wrong, you know, you have to fight for what's right sometimes. Unfortunately, it's not cheap and it's not our choice.
Yes, and unfortunately, right has to be determined by the courts. You know, unfortunately, and you know, that's always an expensive proposition. We haven't done anything cheaply in the courts yet. But that's our only recourse, so I don't know any other avenue for resolution.
Well, I guess our only other option would be to say no, but
You can't say no, it's an ordinance.
that's my point. That's why I said what I said earlier.
Even without the ordinance, I couldn't say no.
Okay.
Are we finished? We're finished. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Okay, next. Sidewalk status, some fun stuff. Pull the
Pictures, we get
picture
pictures
up first.
in color.
Notes, in color, meeting notes, okay, pull that sucker up. Okay, we had a nice meeting with the two property owners. The corner of 17th and US 2 has been a hard problem because there's businesses there, there's the intersection, and we're trying to balance safety without just screwing over the businesses. And the two business owners and the two engineers and myself met last week, came to some agreements. No shots were fired, so that's good. And here's about what we came up with. We're going to extend the sidewalk around, and we've looked at different combinations of permutations. We're going to put a 60-foot driveway access into the area where Rico's Pizza is. That's he gets two driveways, we combined them. Then we're gonna have a sidewalk, and then a 45-foot driveway into the sandstone bridge, into the auto repair place. And a couple of reasons for the 45-foot. There's a handicapped person living there. 45-foot gives the post person access to drive in there and deliver the mail at the end of his handicap ramp. And also it gives the owner room to back trailers in there without stopping in the middle of US 2. Now, the red down there, been suggested that particular corner, since it's a safety worry, is have the colored concrete like they have in the islands at the four-way, and like we have in front of the school as a big visual, hey, there's a sidewalk here. And then walk through there. And these driveways would look like it does in front of well 4 by the culvert bridge, where the sidewalks run at the edge of the shoulder, taper down. The sidewalk then is flush with the driveway and goes on back. Now, one thing we've learned, is that there has been a lot of stormwater problems on those two areas caused by US 2. And I didn't quite realize how much, and I didn't quite understand exactly how the drainage was going to work. But all that stormwater now will be shunted into the existing swale that feeds over into where the culvert bridge is. So we're utilizing the existing stuff that the DOT put in before. And that will really, if a lot of water comes into the pizza place and Haney's place, and it's just, not that far from his well. He's got a drain there, but it drains into the aquifer, not that far away from his well. And now that will get shunted, and the same thing, Bobby's house there is getting flooded with storm water, and that'll cut a ton of stuff down.
So that was my question, not that you knew I was gonna raise a question, but, the issue of protecting his well that came up in the last meeting is resolved at this point?
It's a separate issue. No, it's not resolved, but That's a stormwater project, which we now have a stormwater utility, thank you very much, the right words. And that's gonna be probably our first stormwater project, because it's not just stormwater, it's stormwater and Department of Health issues. And I usually, when I'm prioritizing things, when it becomes a Department of Health issues, it goes to the top of the stack. And so now we've gotta go through several sequences to get that done. And that's gonna be my next project to work on.
Okay, and so that's separate from the sidewalk.
That's separate from the sidewalk.
And
I
this
tried
is-
to sneak it in, and they said no,
And this is closure to the sidewalk issue other than building it?
other than building it. Yeah, get it finally done, we're ready to go out for quotes. They'll do one more, make the real engineering drawings instead of the Joe Beaver's, klutzy pictures. And then once that's done, we'll go out for the official bid sequence, we go out for bids and advertise, these guys come in and stuff. And they expect, because it took longer to come down to negotiations, they expect the sidewalk would be installed in July.
I think John's got.
Can I say something? I'm going to anyway.
Okay.
What do you ask?
I'll probably get chewed out tomorrow, but it won't be the first time. This project, the mayor's spent hours and hours and hours. He's done all the work, because I've been doing the water stuff. This is one of the benefits that I see of being a city, because he worked hours and hours and hours with all the property owners to appease the property owners. If you would get that kind of service from WashDOT or the county, I don't know. They have their standards, they don't deviate from their standards. We have what we do, Public Works, you have a 6-year transportation plan. That's how we got the bridge done, that's how we're getting the sidewalk done. Because before you go out for a grant, and there's not a lot of grants, they have to be on a 6-year transportation program. Would this sidewalk be on the county 6-year program? I don't think so, well, it might be. So that's one of the benefits. And that's all I got, that's all I have to say. I didn't make it happen, he made it happen.
Why don't you go to the other one, we'll talk about our design standards. We have a design standards, and scroll down, look further. Okay. John has authority to modify the standards, scroll down. And then in the standards, we've got the commercial driveway width, and nothing specified. And street driveways say that the maximum width is 35 feet for a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. And then down below it says the minimum width of a commercial driveway will be 20 feet. That's a little confusing. The minimum width of a commercial driveway by DOT standards is 30 feet. And so what we've done is made those driveways longer, mainly for safety and ADA requirements. I don't know that it actually violates our commercial standards, but John does have the authority to bless it if it does. So, John, do you agree with the 60-foot, 45-foot driveway?
Totally.
Okay. And any comments from the council? Okay, we've got this one then. I'll get down to the engineers tomorrow and we will release it for final drawing. Thank you. Okay, the budget quarterly review. My summation is we spent a lot more in the first quarter than we took in, partly because property tax, I believe, is
Way lower.
And sales tax is lagging. Okay, where, okay. Our sales and use tax is a little low, we're 33% through the year. And so I guess we're trying, that's new. 28.5 divided by 2.1. Oh, let's turn it on first. Yeah, if I did this right, we're like 14%
That's what I got.
Okay, 14% of the income. Now, what happens, property tax peaks after April because that's when it's due. And so we should get a big bump in the next couple of weeks, I hope. Is this a new one? Well, this is the percentages, yeah. So,
We're down 32, almost 33
yeah,
grand.
and that's a big hit in this one. Now, you have on yours is the other budget printout, or the report format, which has the percentages where we are. Saves me typing out this from a calculator. And you take a look down there, in the property tax is a big hit, the sales tax is a little bit of a hit. And I'm not sure with both, Hacienda being closed for moving and with the Gold Bar restaurant being closed the whole year, I'm not sure if we're gonna hit our 100K, budget on that, because we're gonna get a slow start. So that was the first thing, anybody else talk for a while?
If I go off of, for real and personal property tax, if
Yeah.
I go off last year's, the 10th of May, we received $75,000.
Okay.
So,
I would expect that to be, so I think you have till the end of April to pay, and they're not gonna make their payment then until all that's collected and then tallied. And so I would expect that by the end of May, maybe somewhere in May, you're gonna see that.
So maybe in June we can revisit this again?
Oh, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
June, every quarter, we'll revisit.
So just
yeah,
a-
we receive the big ones usually on May 10th and May 20th, and then, November 10th and 20th. So, historically, big.
Make it a little bit easier to judge where we're at.
Now, Ken said, we downgraded the city assistance from state to $13,500, and it used to be years and years ago, $75,000, and then it went to $40,000, and we pulled a number out of there, 13,500, and so far it's tracking, so our budget is possibly realistic of that. So that's what Ken was talking about, the loss of income from state assistance.
That's, where's that
First page on this,
Yeah.
one with percentage.
336.
It's down here, down below.
Okay.
There we are.
The other thing, liquor board
Oh, yeah,
profits, they're staying pretty close, or excise tax and profits, they're staying pretty close to schedule, but I'm not sure if the governor's not gonna sweep those. So I haven't actually looked, I know there was still some negotiating with the governor not to do some stuff she was thinking about doing. Anybody got any comments on that?
So,
What's the PUD privilege tax yearly? The 88K, is that made more?
PUD, we're not allowed to charge a utility tax to PUD.
Yeah.
But once a year, the county collects and distributes out to the city a percentage per capita, and that's usually in November.
So when we look at this, we see the gas utility taxes at 59% for the year, and so that's almost 60%, and we're really only at about 1/3 of the way through the year, about 33%.
What was the gas
So
utility
that's
tax total last year?
Um,
It's gas utility tax, 316.43.
And the garbage utility tax is at 47%.
Okay.
Yeah.
The telephone utility tax is at 48%.
You know,
And
I'm
electric
looking-
tax is at
Okay, let's-
45%.
Let's stick at the,
Well, no, but the point is, we're at 33% through the year, and each of these is higher than the 33%. We're looking at less collection in the latter. Two-thirds.
Unless we get it in stages, where right now we're temporarily ahead.
yeah,
Puget Sound Energy for the gas tax is the only one we get it from. They send a monthly check.
Just in the monthly
Yeah,
check.
it depends on the usage, so,
but you take a look, last year.
Oh, so it's summertime, they're not gonna use it as much.
right.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
And our budget looks reasonable compared to previous years. So, okay, that's an upfront income.
Yeah, so I guess that's my point is, I'm not expecting to see these revenues continue through the year at the rate that we've received them.
Correct.
Right. We used to get some nervous.
Mayor, may I make an observation?
Sure.
And I'm not denying that we're in trouble as far as revenue goes,
Yeah,
but the other side of that coin is, as the economy improves, won't at least some of these numbers improve? I know I'm being a little bit of a Pollyanna and an optimist and all that, but if you read the economic forecasts and all the indicators,
house sales are up.
the worst seems
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
over.
yeah, agreed,
economically.
agreed.
So, yes, it's right now doom and gloom, but there's a real possibility that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not
Yeah,
green
and
light.
But again, we're dependent on the businesses in Gold Bar,
I
not
realize.
a national average. But, the answer to your question is, yeah.
When Laha opens back up, I see that place doing the booming
Booming
business.
business, might catch up.
And I realize we're behind the 8 ball now,
Okay.
but there's a real possibility that that's not going to always be the case.
Okay.
We're not doing 8 balls, just 4 balls, right?
All right, as we go through the budget, you might have questions on any line item of the budget.
The only thing I had was all the things on the dues and fees and subscriptions.
Expenditures.
Yeah, I looked at individual ones, the one that we were over most, which was.
574, or is that 514?
514.
Yeah.
514.
We've overspent 167809.
That's, here we go. We're over $207 on that one, 514-2343,
Now they're talking about dues, fees, and subscriptions.
news fees and subscriptions.
Thank you, yes. And, yeah.
Oh,
180.
and me. Wow,
So we got an annual budget of 2K, and we spent 3678.
wow.
Professional services were 500%
There's something on the order.
Okay, wait, let's stop, let's get 514-2349,
And,
wait, whoa, that's it. That's
no,
it.
no, it's all the same category.
No, but the way the system is set up, we answered the questions line item at a
I
time.
understand.
Okay, okay, that line item, what
So,
happened there? What,
you know,
how come we, is there something that was not anticipated?
That's the,
Oh, it's $141,
yeah, that's the,
okay. Is the big one back in?
oh, the Bank of America, we're being reimbursed for.
Oh, is $1,500
Yeah.
there? So that's a Bank of America oopsie?
Yeah.
Ah,
There, it's that, when they changed their, Bank of America changed their system, they started charging us bank analysis fees. So, we're not supposed to be charged those, so they have to reimburse.
and they have agreed to that?
She's working on it.
Okay.
And that's where the students' fees and subscriptions.
And it's most likely gonna be even higher than that, but because they haven't corrected it in their system yet.
Okay, so we're looking at bringing that to about the budget when Bank of America makes their correction.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
So, when we get this, right,
yeah,
if there's any way there could be a note saying, hey, when you guys get to this expenditure, don't have a heart attack. This is why it is the way it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, that would be really handy.
Instead of
A
ask,
memo, I can do a
yeah,
memo.
a memo just saying, hey, I have
Or an
this.
asterisk and a note
where's
on
the
it.
other,
Yeah.
the other format? The other format has a comment section,
Yeah,
and that's probably the best
This
place to
format.
do it.
That would be the best.
Because you'd lose the percentage stuff, but you're not gonna interested in the 1% percentage, you can be looking. at
That's in
the
this column here, right, or this
Yeah.
format.
So the travel,
I mean,
training, and
we have this-
seminars.
That format, I think, yeah.
yeah, that's the format I can put it in, but if you want percentages, I can also do a memo saying, going on
Well,
with that.
more to Chris's statement is, you know, when there's something oddball in there, rather than we have a heart attack saying, how we're over budget, you know, I've already had one of those, I don't need another.
Yeah, we did mark it up,
Oh,
and that,
thank you,
but
Jeff.
what we're doing right now is having to do it real time. We didn't get to doing all this stuff, because Laura spent her time coming up, figuring out how to get this report out, because there's a lot of new reports, and maybe there's another report that'll help. But yeah, what's that called, a variance?
Yeah, variance?
Yeah, just a reason for variance.
514-2343, under finance, budget is 600, 807.65, we're at 134.6.
Oh, that's my travel training and seminar.
Mm-hmm.
Under donations is a reimbursement of my fees because I got a scholarship. So I have to pay it up front and then we get a scholarship paying us back.
So how come that goes under donations and it doesn't go back?
It's miscellaneous funds. You can't give a negative to a revenue. It has to, you can't give a positive to an expense. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I can only take away expenses and give to revenue.
And what about the professional services, 514-5041?
That was the last.
Services.
Which one? Go
State
515.
auditor,
Oh, we guessed wrong on how much we owed them.
another check came in, or another
Another
bill came
check,
in
yeah.
after the 20 days.
Oh, so this was, we'd actually planned to do this in 2011, but it didn't show up until after the magic
Right.
date.
Mhm.
Okay.
This one right here.
Yeah, got it February 7th, February 21st, and March 20th.
Now, we're paid up on liability insurance, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that 30,000 should be 20,000, because the other part went into, water.
So is that, so we budgeted 30,000, you're saying it's only gonna cost us 20,000?
We've already paid the liability for this year, so yeah, that's it.
So-
19
so-
on 20.
So where's that other $10,000 going?
It went to water.
It's actually another 19, wasn't it? It was 50/50?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. What's
So when we get this in June, we can actually make a much better, we'll be in a much better position to actually make
Yeah.
what we can.
Well, we know that.
Correct
Right now
these
it's
things.
short in water.
You know, we have to come up to zero, right?
Yeah, well, we do have to make some changes to here. We know we're making changes to the litigation end of it. We already did that. We haven't corrected this, and we're going through this answering questions.
Yeah, so, again, when I look at this whole budget, you know, line by line, we see where there's some high ones, but when you look at the overall, so if you went under, legislative, again, we're at 33% of the year, and we're at 45.8% of that budget.
Legislative.
If we look at finance,
What's the number?
legislative is 511,
Okay, got it.
and if we look at finance, which is a 514, again, 33% through, we're at 50% of the budget.
Well, let's stop at legislative. I mean, again, we spent $500 on ordinance codification. Are we done for the year?
I think they do it once a year, so that should.
So, okay, so it could be that, we're showing we're 50%, but we may be 100%, so, I mean, because
Yeah.
it's another January expense.
Oh, okay, so.
Is that also true with voter
Okay, here we go,
registration?
voter registration's the same way, that's a January thing?
No, voter registration is each time there's a vote, so.
So it'll go up again this November.
It'll go up again.
What?
We'll have the November vote. They do every time there's a vote.
But we haven't had a vote this year.
Right.
We will.
We will.
We will.
Yeah,
So you
But
have,
we have expenses.
you've already
Also,
paid
future
for it.
money.
yeah, so they're gonna be registering people for the November election that aren't already registered.
Well, let's see what this,
But,
Maybe we did.
that's not a controllable item
Yeah, but if we-
Yeah, we've already paid it for this year.
okay, so we've
So-
paid, it's prepaid for the year.
Yeah, they, till November and January or February, so,
Okay.
They know ahead of time what it's gonna cost?
No, they're
they
charging for
charge us.
last November.
yeah.
In January 2013, they'll charge us for November 2012.
So that bill's paid already, so we're actually 10% under budget on that then?
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
tell 'em.
Mhm.
So that's okay.
So, but again, I look at the bottom of the categories, and to me, that's the telling thing. And particularly when we get to legal services, 515,
Yeah,
we're at 80% of the annual budget, and we're only 33% through the year.
and that's because we jacked up the budget, is the only reason we're that good.
Is
No,
that-
no, we haven't jacked up the budget yet. The
We
budget's
haven't-
still,
It says 52.
Can I,
Oh, no,
we
it's
haven't
55.
adopted any changes yet,
Oh, okay.
because it has to be done through ordinance. We have to have a public hearing on it.
Okay.
Our emergency services, we're at 90%, is that like 90% paid for the year again?
Yeah, most of that's 800 megahertz.
Yeah, is that a
I'll hold it
one-time
for
deal?
you.
No, it's not.
Oh, it
That
is?
is done,
That still pisses me
It's a one-time payment.
it's done
Yeah.
for the
There's
year.
a lot of
It's
stuff
one-time
that's
payment for the year,
front-loaded.
it's every year.
It's very expensive though, huh?
And it's emergency management adjustment.
Yeah, it's,
Law
Emergency
enforcement,
management, we wanted to know.
well, that's
So,
we've already paid half.
but wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
300.
Oh, that's this, no, this 800 megahertz you was talking about.
Yeah, 800 megahertz is done, the
Right.
emergency management is not, we
Yeah.
have 3/4 we still don't.
Okay, so we're paying by quarter, we'll have 3 more 557.
Yeah, but when you figure out the total amount there, that last 10%, it easily covers that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why did we budget 18,500 if we knew ahead of time, or does that 800 megahertz change every year?
We tend to round up to the next 100 or so, just for budget, so we don't have, so it's easier to read. And we tend to try to get high in expenses by a little bit and low on revenues by a little bit.
So we have some. Okay.
And I'm not sure if I thought the 800 megahertz did vary a little year to year, because they had some sort of calculation they put in there.
It did, hold on. It went up.
Okay, yeah, well,
This
it
last year-
varies.
Yeah, cause last year it was 8,818, and this year it's
No, no,
9,191 for part of it.
okay, but take a look at all last year. 2011 was 17,773
Yeah.
total, but in 2010 it was 18,416 total. So it varies. There's another adder on for maintenance that they put in.
Yeah, it's a maintenance fee.
I'm sorry, that's,
Okay,
that's,
But it is done for the year, that is the total.
the next one. For your information, I told the Chamber of Commerce, city is putting $0 in the golden space this year.
Right. Okay, I wanna go up to 558.
Okay?
Dues, fees, and subscriptions. We've overspent there, even though it's $82. We've overspent in 559, dues, fees, and subscriptions. Both funds, we reduced when we did the budget,
Yeah.
okay? Why can't we meet those budgets?
Okay, let's take a look and see what we did.
This bias is the percentage.
Oh, this is all bias?
No, not all of it. We had Washington Building and bias.
Okay. It was an allocation of the bias, and we did not, both of those are necessary things that we don't, the Washington Building Association is what, what is that, John?
How much was it?
45 bucks,
47.
47?
That might have been for the updated current IBC,
Okay.
International Building. And then, that's a more budgeting there because there's not really any discretionary in either of those.
And one AWC, is that our AWC dues? Okay. And we did talk about doing it, cutting some of the things, but, all of those tend to be cost of doing business that are existing.
Is that paid for the year though?
Yes.
Okay.
So just to be clear, there's nothing more with the bio system this year. Probably not for all of next year either, right?
Well, no,
No, no, we
That
don't have
service
bias.
fee.
Yeah, it's an annual fee.
Right, we've got our annual fee outside of that.
And this is
Now, what about in the 2013 bars change? Is that gonna be,
It won't change that.
Won't change that, okay.
It's still gonna be distributed through dues fees. The bars changes were mainly to, section, like the 310
Mhm.
section and the 320s, and they rearranged those, but not the actual bars lines.
For those out there, bars is the state required, here's how you keep track of your money. It means
It's-
something,
Budgeting, accounting, reporting system.
okay. And it's all the funny numbers you see up here off to the left, well, it's not on this one. Those are the bars numbers, and so that's one of the reasons, yeah, all those are bars numbers, and it's a state-defined way to keep track of your money. And this is your typical financial accounting approach to things. And I should have told Lauren, I've done this before, is if you're trying to manage a project, the financial accounting is quite often a horrible way to do it. And I spent most of my business career taking financial accounting reports off of computer programs and digging through them to figure out what the project really cost. So, and we're doing the same thing here, because, you know, the refund is up over there and the expense is down over here.
So, can I ask, I'm not even paying attention to what you're saying. But I heard you earlier, you said Gold Dust Days is a, so we have, under 573, we have $3,200. And my understanding is what you said is we're not spending any of that. Will we move that somewhere else?
No, we're not spending any of it on Gold Dust Days. Well, it's gonna be absorbed somewhere else. It's, I mean, but to answer your question, is some other place is gonna go up. This is gonna go down, something else is gonna go up.
Right, not just Gold Dust Days, but you got, I don't know if you're doing National Night Out or,
Yeah, that's a city thing.
and the tree lighting.
Laura?
Okay, in this section I'd like to speak. I moved the egg hunt because we had donations directly to
Right.
the egg hunt. I created its own fund,
Right, I saw that.
which will, during the financial reporting, will be rolled back up into the general fund, but you guys will never see that. The National Night Out is put out from the city, and we can do the same thing, have donations for National Night Out, so we can purchase, and I can do, but Gold Dust Days and other events are not, and then, Safe Stop. Safe Stop is nonprofit organizations putting it on, and we cannot collect money and then give that to them. They have to collect it themselves. So we cannot create a fund for those.
Yeah, other cities do this, but it goes through a whole bunch of deals, spends
The
$2,000
auditor-
and.
The auditor spoke sternly to us regarding the nonprofit organizations.
And Monroe is giving $3,500 to the US 2 Safety Coalition, and Sullivan, I think, is $1,500. And that is a 501c3. So they do it somehow, but
Different auditors,
could
different.
be. Okay, so we're gonna zero out Gold Dust Days, zero out other recreational activities, and keep $400 in for tree lighting, $1,000 in for National Night Out for the time being.
Okay.
Is that, or you want to?
That's not me, that's the council's decision.
Didn't we do, tree lighting with donations last year? Or did it still cost the city?
No, it was
Tree
volunteer.
lighting wasn't done by the city, it was all done by volunteer because we could not afford to do that last year.
No, but the city paid for the materials, I thought. Oh, so we,
I
Probably
thought
paid
we,
for some
I
labels.
thought it was zero last year.
Hold on.
Maybe not.
We paid for the honey buckets,
Okay, yeah. Okay.
that's it,
Hundred, done 125, and
yeah. No, we didn't even pay for that. No, we didn't pay for the honey bucket either.
So tree lighting could be zeroed out too.
yeah, so we could zero out the tree lighting. Because I know the tree lighting operation was done
Right.
by all volunteers. And but I thought we had paid for a honey bucket. It would be a $250 honey bucket because it's 88. But again, we can, right now, it's just zero out Gold Dust Days and other events, and we can address this again later.
Tree lighting.
Because this is very small amount
Yeah,
compared to the real issues we
Yeah,
have
but
to
it's
deal
still,
with.
Can I ask a question, Joe?
Yes,
It's probably on days, but on the Gold Dust Days, is that just, somebody said it's gonna be on Friday and Saturday?
it's, the Sky Valley Chamber is working on it.
Okay.
There are activities planned all 3 days.
Okay, cool. That's what I was
But
wondering.
it's gonna be less than it was in the past, because there's no city support.
Sure. No, I just heard somebody say Friday, Saturday, and I was thinking, man, you know, for people to get out here on a Friday, you know, the Saturday, Sunday thing would probably work better. I mean, to generate some type of revenue or something. If it does.
The booth vendors were the ones who chose Friday, Saturday over Saturday, Sunday.
Really? That's weird.
Okay. Everything else I
So,
think.
I just need to know, does the council want me to move the National Night Out so that we can accept donations from the citizens to support that? Like we did the Easter egg hunt?
National Night Out?
Yeah. With Gold Dust Days and the other ones, we cannot, because they're supported by the nonprofit. But for National Night Out, the city does support that one.
You know, unfortunately, I would probably say, my opinion would be yes.
It's out of the general fund, it's just, that way we can